With us, we have Liam Darby. He is a casting specialist. So today we're kind of going to be going through a little bit about the platform, basically different tools and tricks that actors can use or filmmakers for looking for talent, kind of bridging the gap between the two. So we'll start it off. And we'll have an open Q&A at the end as well. So if you have a question, make sure to keep it, because not every day you have someone like Liam here at the stage who can answer directly. So first question would be, um, using the platforms such as Backstage, Mandy, and Star Now, are there any specific advantages to using those platforms compared to other means of connecting with filmmakers? So, what certain advantages or features are accessible on the platform for actors?
Yeah, so I think it's really key to understanding the difference between the platforms. They do have their own kind of their market stance essentially. I
Yeah.
think Backstage is very known for emerging actors. Star Now is very known for kind of modeling, content creation, also acting as well. And Mandy's very known for more experienced actors, and you can find kind of actors who are constantly freelancing and working in that aspect. So I think it's really understanding that. I think across all three platforms, they have really, really innovative casting tools. We try and make it as easy as possible for talent to build the best online CV profile they can to stand out, and also from a filmmaker to be able to find the best talent.
What are the advantages that they can find on Backstage, Mandy, and Star Now? And if there are any, growing niche in the departments for some like stand actors or these kind of jobs that rarely we maybe know about. So it'd be good to have a full overview if there is any special offers for that as well.
Yeah, for sure. So for filmmakers, I mean, we try to alleviate the cost that filmmakers maybe have to bear to cast for projects.
I often speak to filmmakers, producers, casting directors. I actually offer them an exclusive code to be able to use
At the stage, Mandy or Star Now to list films, casting calls, whatever it may be,
to get that save that kind of cost on that
casting process. And when they're in there, the way you can filter through applications is really innovative. We have we're quite high on kind of tech, how the
platforms are really user friendly, and you can sift through, you can look through your applications.
You can shortlist really easily. You can make shortlist that as all your lead roles, your supporting roles. You can really simply tick a yes and no, and then you use that shortlist. Some employers and casting directors and producers share it with other external kind of clients as well. So if they have a client that works for a bigger agency or production company, they'll say they'll shortlist about 10 people. They'll then share that shortlist with other people. They can also, what they can do is they can set them as a collaborator. So they can then view Star Now and your Backstage and view the applicants that they're going through. So it makes the process really seamless. I mean, I was working with actually someone who was casting for like a corporate. They were looking for background artists. This was this week. And they had to share with an external client they're working with, and they were able to share them, invite them as a collaborator. And they were both able to work through the platform and basically pick their top two people for the role. So it worked really seamless in that way, which is really, really good. And then what was the last part you said? Sorry, you said about
the niche departments like stand actors or offers for.
Yeah, I think we see a lot of kind of background artist jobs that come onto the platform. I think it's there are a lot of agencies out there for stuff like background artists, but we do see stuff for big productions, big films that come on as background artists. I mean, one other thing we have is what we tend to find across all of the platforms is casting directors and producers. If they have a niche brief or they're looking for new and emerging talent, they will use us to find that because they know they will find new and emerging talent. In the US recently, we had the Snoop Dogg biopic was all across Backstage. It's a new feature film that's coming up. They were looking for someone completely new, emerging, possible acting experience, but also possibly not, because if they're right for the role, they're right for the role. Also very recently across all the platforms, there's an Ashley Walters feature film, which we'll be filming, I think, next year. Again, they were looking for characters who were new, emerging, possibly from an area in London, for example, where they've grown up there and they have that kind of background. So I think they know what our platforms can do when filmmakers are looking. And if you have a niche brief or you're looking for a new and emerging artist, it's definitely the place to find that for sure.
That's amazing. So my other question would be, in terms of the features, obviously the world's always changing, right? There's new markets. Are there any collaborations or integrations for new features? For instance, I know AI is like a big emerging market, or any new technologies like that that Backstage or Mandy or Star Now are looking into to add to their platform.
So we are really, particularly Backstage, is a very tech first platform. The way Backstage was built, from a filmmaker's point of view or from a talent point of view, giving the talent as much opportunity as possible to build the best online profile, the best CV, giving them access to include everything on their profile to sell themselves essentially as a performer. And from a filmmaker's point of view is to be able to use that, look through everything, seamlessly load up video, audio reels when they're sifting through the talent submissions. They can also obviously move into like shortlists, etc., to make that tech side of things really easy. Because I think if you're a casting director or if you're searching for talent, the last thing you want is to be downloading everything to your computer, having to kind of make folders, manage it in that way. And that's how we basically are as a platform. You could imagine we're a mini computer. You could sort everything into folders. You can organize everything. You can save everything. And Mandy and Star now, they're not the same platforms, but from an interface point of view, we have migrated them to be similar. So what that means is that anyone who uses the platforms on the talent or creator side has that technology that we've built over time. So now Mandy has that Star Now and can benefit from it as well. I think from the AI point of view, I think every business nowadays has to embrace AI, see how it can help us going forward and help the industry. There's nothing specific that we are using AI based, but who knows how that might change. I mean, one amazing thing we do have, which is on Backstage and now is across all platforms as well, we have an integrated live auditioning tool. So basically it's like an in-house internal Zoom function, and you can actually set up, you can pick like your top 10 candidates, for example. You can then schedule them into like 15 or 20-minute slots, and then you can do an online Zoom audition with them. And the filmmaker or creator joins, and then they basically get a Zoom link, the talent to join on the other side. So it makes it super simple rather than creating X amount of Zoom links and sending them out. It's there, it's on the platform, it's all housed. And I guess the one last thing on that as well, which not necessarily AI, but where we've really gone to town on the function, is that it all gets recorded. So if a filmmaker or a creator auditions someone via Zoom and they then need to watch it back, which casting directors and producers do because they want to see text 2 times, 3 times, it's all there, it's recorded. And it goes into their profile. So if you ever need to go back, you can be like, right, I just need to see that tape again, see what it was like, and then go in there as well. But yeah, yeah, we're very technological focused, and maybe AI will pay by if you do this.
Yeah, I think that's a big part, especially the organization, right, of files. It's almost as though your profile is visible 24 hours, right? Someone can find you. I think having that visibility is super important. And yeah, to your point, you don't want to have all these multiple Zoom links, having it in an easy way and it makes it easier for the filmmaker as well, right? So there's value on both sides. Then I think that's why it's so successful. So thanks for sharing that. Jay, you have any other questions? Yeah.
Yes, I'm thinking of some success stories if you have to share. And also, sometimes we talk about, having maybe hidden cars website where people can actually submit or job offers that are preferential route. Is this happening on Backstage as well, or is there a way you can, I don't know, share some good tips for the like standing out? Yes, just standing out a little bit more.
Yeah, so I mean, success story wise, I mean, certainly for Backstage, I know the people like Sandra Bullock and Denzel Washington, obviously years ago, but they credit Backstage for finding their first ever role in the industry. So Backstage in the US, we actually are a magazine publication. It actually started as a magazine publication. Actors used to pick it up from newsstands and go to live auditions. Obviously years go by and kind of everything goes online and that progresses over time, but we do still produce that magazine. So yeah, that's that. I think in the UK, I think from Mandy and Star Now, I often speak to people and a lot of actors, UK actors who are maybe really forward in their career now. The first job they ever got, they saw on someone like Mandy or Star Now, and they were able to get it. It may be a corporate film, it may be a small feature, it may be a short film, but what they can then do is use that to either go on to maybe get an agent or get representation, or use it to build a show reel and start building their future. And then they start building and auditioning over time and becoming more successful in that as well. So I I think that's really key. And then the second part of the question, sorry, you said? Was the standing out. Is that
We're
right?
standing out, yes.
Yeah, so I think from standing out from a talent point of view, I think it is seeing your online CV as your marketing tool. As an actor, it has to be your headshots and your showreel mainly, particularly if you're working in TV and film, that stands you out from the rest. A casting director or producer want to click on a video of your showreel and within a minute know what kind of actor you are. They want to know that. So I think it's having that, first of all, on point, as quality as it can be, constantly updating it, because as a performer, actors change. You change how you perform. As you get older, you change. If your showreel was like, very not up to date, etc., and if you do any work, always add that to your showreel. So if you get a short film or you have a small part in a feature or whatever, get that content. And normally, if you speak to the producers or whoever's helped build the project, they'll be more than willing to give you the file. And then you can get that file and, build on like iMovie and just put it all together, make sure it's seamlessly edits, and then just upload that as your kind of show. If you've got a headshot and you've changed your hair, if you've got a headshot and, it was 10 years ago and you look completely different now, people aren't going to recognize you when you walk in an audition room. So you have to keep that up to date. Yes, it costs to spend sometimes, to invest. The best advice I can give is if a photographer is willing to do something called TFP, which is trade for print, they might do you some photos, TFP, if they can use it on their website, so their portfolio, they might do that for free, and then you can have some high quality images. Or it's just, pay £300-400 and just invest in your headshots every now and then, just to make sure that you look up to date, good, and ready to go. So if you walk in a room, someone's going to know who you are, basically. But yeah, that's the best advice.
Does it help? And this is just me thinking of strategies. For instance, someone is going for a character who's a nurse, to try and arrange a headshot with a right costume, if they can find something similar to, so they can show the producers how they will actually look like. Because sometimes there is a part of the casting process is also very time consuming, and people will have also be called in for fittings. So maybe having that ready for them, it just saves them a step.
Yeah, funny enough, in terms of headshots, potentially no. But what I've always been told is that if you're going into an audition room and you're lucky to get an audition for it, even a self-tape, try and maybe do something that makes you look like the part. I think if you get an audition for a nurse and you do a self-tape and you dress as a nurse, I think it's a bit over the top. And casting directors might even think, okay, you've made the effort, but it's distracting from what I'm trying to look at, because I'm trying to look at you acting in a self-tape to decide if you're ready for the role. But if it's like, it's a role for a dad, and the background to the character is like the dad has kids and he has a certain job, and maybe you just subtly dress to make sure you're, maybe personally you don't dress very dad-like, but if you just get some clothes and make yourself look a bit dad-like, so when you're on tape, they can see you and think that's what you look like, to give that feeling. And I've also been told if you go into an audition room, like, rather than wearing, if you're casual or something, whatever, like put a shirt on, just make the effort to look that little bit like you could be the character. Because the best thing for casting directors, and all casting directors say this, if all they want is the next person to walk in the room and be that character and be that role that they're looking for. And if that happens and they walk in and they get the energy and they look like it, then great. I think if you go a bit too over the top, then maybe it just looks like you're trying a little bit too hard. And the main focus is always going to be your acting skills and what you bring to the character, for sure.
Thank you.
Great advice. Hope everyone's taking notes.
Yeah, I think my last question would be, obviously, I think you mentioned, I was going to dive into any challenges or pain points that you feel, as a casting specialist. I know you mentioned, obviously, ensuring you have a good show reel and a good headshot. Are there any challenges that you're seeing now, just where how everything's moving and
The usage on the platform that you're looking to solve in the next kind of little bit?
So I think the challenges are, we've kind of mentioned it, is standing out. Also, the challenges in the industry is that there are so many roles out there and films out there, and everything is being made. There's loads of content being produced. I think 2024 has been a bit of a quieter year than a lot of people anticipated. People are talking about a film kind of boom for 2025, so hopefully that happens. But yeah, I guess the challenge is that as a performer in particular, you are battling against 100, 200, 300 other people who are going for one role. So it is hard you have to be resilient, and you have to kind of constantly be working at updating show reels, headshots, making sure everything's up to date, that your online presence is always there, even if you're not necessarily booking the roles. I think, people, when you say you're an actor or you're a performer, you say it with such confidence because you have to have that confidence in an industry where it is hard to book the work consistently. So it's being resilient. And in terms of those challenges, I guess, again, anything we can do to develop and give performers the most opportunity to sell themselves and create the best online CV. From a filmmaker's point of view, the more tools we can integrate to make their life easier, and the process of casting smoother. We're always looking to improve our platforms, how we do things. We listen to feedback from filmmakers and talent and try and do what we can to kind of improve it. So yeah, we're always looking to, but there are challenges, but when the industry picks up, those challenges seem to become a little less challenging. So hopefully next year will be a good year.
Fantastic. No, thanks, Liam. Before we open it up to the Q&A, Jay, do you have any final questions?
I think we covered pretty much everything.
Awesome. All right. Oh, top right, we got a question.
In reference to what Jay was saying about success stories, I can validate that what's been said, the websites are actually very good. I've used them in different forms. The Mandy website I've used for casting crew and cast members for some of my projects. And the tools that they use are actually really efficient. In my sort of 9 to 5 as a HR manager and consultant, I think I got over 100 applicants, and I was very able to quickly shortlist and organize all the interviews. So it's good. And then Star Now, very much back in sort of heyday, many years ago, used for sort of modeling promotions, and I got some big work out of it. So yeah, I would recommend all of them.
Thank you. Thank you.
We do have one at the bottom here.
I have a couple of questions. You said before in Backstage there's an integrated function for letting people have live auditions. Would you recommend any technical equipment like some lights or some special microphone to make their vision as best as possible?
Yeah, that's a really great question, and I did note that down to talk about that in one of these questions. I'm really glad you asked that, actually. So from a self-tape point of view, and that's basically what we're talking about, right? So if you get an audition or a self-tape, so let's talk about both. But so I'm an actor as well. I've acted for quite a few years, and basically one of the best advice I ever had was to buy a simple like lapel mic for like £50, and it can basically, you could just put it here in your t-shirt, and when you're filming, let's talk about self-tapes first, but auditions will be the same. You're filming a self-tape, your lapel mic is either plugged directly into your phone or your laptop, and it will record the audio. And then you want a light, either a ring light or just a light that's going on to you. And then you can simply film on your iPhone, for example. So if you're filming on your iPhone, it's good enough quality, but you want a ring light or a light that's shining onto you directly as you're being recorded. So then what you've got is you've got high quality audio, or relatively high quality. Because if you record on your iPhone, I don't know if you've ever done it, but if you record it on your iPhone and you play back the sound, all you can hear is like this kind of ambient, horrible kind of echoey noise. So you need to avoid that, and what a lapel mic will do is it will just get rid of all that noise and make your voice sound clearer. And then what you do is you just tie them together, and when you send the self-tape, it should look and it should sound good because you recorded it separately or into your iPhone directly, or phone, whatever phone you've got. And then the auditions is the same thing. So I've done Zoom auditions with cast directors before and producers, and yeah, it sounds silly, but I was basically in my room at home, and I had a light on me, shining in me, and then I had my phone on a tripod, and I had my mic connected, and I would just join the Zoom audition call. But I would know that the shot I'm in would look good because I've got light on me, and the sound will be good because it's going through my microphone. And then it just helps because But with self-tapes, I think if producers or casting directors are going through self-tapes, if they're going through like 20, 30, 40 self-tapes and the sound isn't good or the light isn't good, they may just skip past it because they're only human and it may put them off. So the better you can make it look and sound, the more chance you've got in an audition or a self-tape of maybe getting through and making a good impression as well. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I can ask you the last question about the showreels on this kind of platform. Is it acceptable to include something like content creation if someone is a YouTuber, a musician, or if someone does web series, but they don't have the quality of the movies in terms of camera, and they be included alongside the frames from movies?
Yeah, I would probably keep it separate, in all honesty. I probably wouldn't put it all together. I mean, look, as a performer, I think you can have your main acting showreel. You could then have your content creator showreel. You could then have maybe an American showreel. Like, you can separate them all up and just have separate kind of content. Because if you put them all together, it's just a bit confusing. Because people won't want to see everything all at once. Some people might just want to see your acting showreel. So I just choose and maybe make them separate. Because you can upload unlimited amount of videos if you'd like. So yeah, just think about it like that as a separate. Yeah, that'll be my best advice.
Great. Thank you so much. Great questions. Thank you again, Liam, for being here and answering all the questions, and Jay for your questions.
There's one more.
Oh, there's one more?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see it. Yeah, go for it.
Sorry, I'm seeing you.
Hi. I wanted to ask what sort of stuff is in place across the platforms to protect creatives and crew and the people going up and stuff, because obviously occasionally you'll get things with bigger budgets, maybe this Ashley Waters thing, that are unionized and they sort of advertised it if they've got a union or union contracts, but there's also a lot of space for things that can take advantage of performers. So what sort of stuff is in place for on your end to protect people from that?
Yeah, no, totally. It's a super valid question, and you're right. Some people in the industry like to take advantage of performers and not offer decent pay for what people do. I don't know why, but it does happen. We've always had, and we would always have, an in-house casting editing team. They edit every single job that goes onto the platform. They make sure that the person posting the job is legitimate. And don't get me wrong, every job, some will be low pay and some will be like people who might not have huge budgets. And then you will see bigger ones. So we have to consider everything. But we have a team who edit every single job, review it, make sure it's legitimate. And if they need further information, they go to that creator or filmmaker or whoever it is to ensure that everything is legitimate. And if there's any questions like, okay, why is this pay not meeting this certain guideline, we ask them. And people are relatively good with it, and they come back to us if they need. And then what we do is we just try to advise them right next time. If you're going to post a job, I would advise including this. This is probably kind of the pay you should be looking at and stuff like that. So we try to educate in that respect as well, just so like filmmakers and the people making projects also can go on in the future knowing how to make the best projects and get the best talent as well. But does that answer the question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Great. All right, we got one in the middle. This will be the last one.
For squeezing me in there. I wanted to ask, how important are outside hobbies and skills that aren't directly connected to presenting or scriptless acting? And what's the best way to showcase your potential as a presenter if you don't have direct work experience as a presenter within the industry?
So skills, any skill stands you out from the next person. So any skill you have or any hobby you have, if you're good at it or semi-good at it and you can do it. I mean, look, I used to have in my profile that I was a good footballer and that I could do quite a lot of skills. Now I can play football, good footballer. I got an audition once where I got taken into an audition room and they said, right, this is a commercial. It's a commercial for an audition. And we want you to do some keepy uppies and then kick the ball. And I was like, that's easy. That's so cool. So I go into the room, they put me in front of the camera and they're like, right, we want you to do your keepy uppies and just kick it over there. but we want you to do it with a TV remote. So they gave me a TV remote, and they're like, can you do that please? And they just filmed. And they were so like, they didn't even smile, didn't even really laugh, they were just deadpan about it. And I was like, I mean, this isn't what I signed up for, but I'll give it a go. Did not do it because I couldn't. You know, I could do keep up this if I try. I'm not great at it, but I could do it. But with a remote, it was impossible. But that was where, as an example, where I put skill. Put it, make sure you're good at it. But then on the other hand, like if there's a skill that like does stand out, like DJing on mad profiles, because I produce music and DJ, and if I got asked to do a DJ role or do something, I could do it quite legitimately. So do that for sure, because it stands you out from the next person. As I've been talking about acting showreel, presenting showreel is no different. It's getting out there, it's doing things. A lot of like people vlog and do stuff like vlogging themselves, but in presenter style. And then you can just upload that and use that as a show. And then as you kind of get work, or you do get work as a presenter, you can then add that and build your presenter show, keep it up. It's no different to acting, it's just you're presenting rather than acting. So think you're in the same way. Was there any other parts of the question I haven't covered this one?
No, that'll be about it. But as for the showreel, how high would production value kind of have to be for the showreel? Could you just be like in your bedroom, present something? And in that case, what would you recommend trying to present to?
Advice there earlier about the sound quality and the light quality, make sure that's on point. If that's on point, then great. If you can do it outside sometimes, my light is a lot better outside. But sound quality is a massive thing, because if the sound quality is on there, put people off. So passively.
Great. All right, so I think we're at time. Thank you so much for all the questions and obviously for the answers. As I mentioned, I hope everyone was taking notes, because those are all super valuable answers. Really appreciate it. On the topic of casting platforms, though, we also do have a lot of perks and prizes later today. So all the winners of the best acting categories will receive a full year for free on Backstage or Mandy or Star Now. Secondly, the winners will be able to get their showreel showcased on Stream on Sir. And finally, there will be a free casting code for filmmakers that will be included in the newsletter as well. So with that, I just want to give a special thanks to yourself, Liam and Jay, for joining me on stage. And up next, we have The Entertainer. Hope you enjoy.